What are the top producing agents, brokerage owners, and team leaders in real estate focused on right now? What is up, everybody? This is Suneet Agrawal with another episode of the Reside Platform podcast. And today we have Reside co-founder Nick McLean with us. Nick, what's up?
Dude, I'm so glad to be here. We just got back from Tahoe. That's what we're going to be talking about, the Mastermind. My flight was canceled from Reno to Seattle. So it took 26 hours to get home.
26 hours to go that 2 hours?
Yeah, it's for a 2-hour flight turned into 26-hour duration, which, when I pick flights, I look at how long will I be traveling. And so when it cancels, then you have to go to the hotel. So I'm super excited to be here because, we always come back from these masterminds with tons of information, like secrets, maybe conversations that people are having in real time and what the top teams are actually doing right now. So that was a great headline, right?
Yeah. So just to give some context for all of you listeners is at once a year, our Reside co-founder, John Sheplak, who was also our coach for many, many years, has like this one flagship event. He has plenty of events. However, he has one flagship event, and it is the Sheplak Tahoe Mastermind. I love it because I love Lake Tahoe. He always does it at the Hyatt right there in Incline Village, which is in Nevada. So if you've never been to Lake Tahoe, it is incredible. Number one. Number two, Incline Village is like the best, richest part of it to go, right? Like all those houses on that street, that motivates me every time.
Get $20 million, $40 million homes plus.
Yes, on the lake. Larry Ellison bought all that for, I think, his daughter or something. Larry Ellison is the CEO of it's Oracle.
And he's 80 years old. Look him up. He just did an interview. Looks incredible at 80. So if you're wondering what being a 100 billionaire will do for your health, check out Larry Ellison.
He's been top 10 richest person for decades. Yeah. Anyhow, now we're getting into like the Founders podcast or something else. But to get back at Tahoe, the reason that I like this is the flagship event, and it's action-packed with a bunch of speakers. And we're going to talk about the speakers now, talk about our takeaways, talk about what's really happening, and talk about what you should be focused on.
Yeah, what's really working. Because the thing about this flagship event in Tahoe is the who's who, the top people know, they block it out on their calendar, they make it happen. So from Miami to Toronto, people from top teams from Toronto, Miami, San Diego, they all make it here. And they're super humble. As when you walk in that door, what John has done is created an environment where people leave their egos at the door. So you have teams. There was Tony Hansen was on stage, and Tony Hansen is like in the Triangle area on the East Coast. Not super familiar with it geographically.
He's North Carolina, yeah.
North Carolina. Sold over 200 homes last month.
Yes, he's a beast.
200 homes last month in a month.
Yes.
So, but again, super genuine guy, charismatic, will talk to anybody. And so whether you're selling, I know people that show up at Tahoe, they've sold 50 homes.
Yeah.
And we were just talking about someone you've been coaching for years and years and years. He showed up probably selling 40 homes, and now he's selling 500, 600, 800 homes.
I mean, we
were those people, right? We were those people.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. So don't think you have to wait to go into that door. It's actually designed for you to elevate quicker by just association.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, and John will tell the story, is you actually spoke at that event in Vegas all those years ago, and you impressed the hell out of me. I never heard anyone like break it down like that. I was also way more impressionable back then. Just kidding. but me, you, Preston, even Brittany John's wife, we all met at that first event. And look at the great relationship and opportunities that we've all built off of that. So events are great. John's events are great, transformative in both of our lives. Let's just go down the speaker lineup real quick, and then move on. So we had Sadie Caligari from the Perna team. I coached them for multiple years. She heads their agent onboarding. Great. We had our boy, Brandon Brittingham. Brandon is just a stud. So look him up. He's been on the podcast. So go back and check out that episode, right?
Yeah. Great speaker, runs a team that sells 400 to 800 homes a year. Just joined EXP, just moved over to EXP. Shout out for that transition. But also is into ancillary business investments, going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So we love Brandon. Shout out to him. Check out that podcast.
I do deals with Brandon multiple, probably one a year, 2 a year. Right. So shout out to Brandon. Brittany Pino, John's wife, right? Talked about the white glove that you and her worked on, right?
Yeah. So years ago, people, I say probably 3 years ago, I did the listing conversion course, a six-week course.
Fire. I paid for it. $4,500. I paid for it, dude.
$4,500 high ticket course. We've sold a lot of them. But at the same time, the people that implemented have made countless returns, right? Like one agent that adopts that and implements that into your system, they're going to make $100,000, $200,000 more that year in conversion. Yeah. And everyone wants listings. So Brittany took the course, right? Brittany took the course and she's a beast. Like she's an incredible listing agent.
She's a great agent. 100%.
Oh my gosh. So when she was at Remax, she was 100 deals a year by herself with 3 assistants, right? And now as a team leader and a broker owner at Pino Associates, she took my course and made it better and then put white glove on top of it. So if you want high-end luxury, pizzazz, preeminence, right? Yeah, I always got to drop preeminence in there. Pino and Associates, look her up in Baton Rouge. I mean, the branding and everything that goes around it. She ran my course and then made it high-end luxury, and so that was the white glove. So she spoke on white glove on how to curate a repeatable, wow, Ritz-Carlton experience. And in her marketplace, agents want to work for her now because they love that brand. They want to be part of that brand. If you think about like Sotheby's and other high-end brands, why do they join? It's a status game. They think, okay, now that by having that brand, I can now appeal to people at a higher status. It's true though.
For some brands, it's very true. For some brands, it's just how they market.
So it starts with like a white glove intention, and so Brittany broke that down really, really well. There's a course, right? By the way, her and I created a course around that where we broke down her entire process.
What's the website for that course?
I'll put it in the show notes. I'll make sure to put it in the show notes if you want to get the white glove course.
Yes. Ben Kinney, John talked to Ben Kinney. Veronica Figueroa was there. Jeremy Larson was there. Ryan Young, shout out to Fellow, was there talking about listings. Amy Winans was there, who's always great. Tony Hansen, who we just discussed, right? Tony and I have been talking about getting him on the podcast. He's a busy guy. I'm going to be hanging out with him soon at the RDC thing, and we're going to get him on the podcast because super interesting, right?
Yeah, you guys
sell a shit ton of homes, dude. Like you said, shit ton of homes.
Yeah, if you want to expand how you think about things, I mean, he'll probably share it. But if you think you're spending money on lead gen, you have no idea.
He had no idea.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
We had a gentleman come up to us, Sunit. This is, it's always the conversations outside the room.
Yeah.
And they know we coach and consult and we run Reside. So they always want to bounce their ideas off of us.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. Because these are big decisions. One of them was, should I buy there's a realtor marketplace or some type of offering?
Yeah.
$500,000 a month. That was the question. Should I buy this lead source? How much?
Coaching client of mine. Yeah.
Yeah. Coaching client of yours. How much? $500,000 a month. And so we broke it down like, well, how many homes do you have to sell to cover your expense? And we came up with 100 homes
from one lead source.
So these are the type of conversations you're having.
Yes.
I won't tell you whether or not he's going to do that deal, but we explored it for sure. We went deep into that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
next, who I also want to get on the podcast, ASAP, Shayla Gifford. Great. She's great.
Oh, Shayla Gifford. She's phenomenal. And so to give a little bit of backstory on her, Sunny, the people don't understand this because she's not, right? She's not in real estate. I mean,
she does a bunch of mortgage stuff. She's a mortgage like superstar. Branches, offices, big production. Honestly, I own a mortgage company, and I said, hey, I would love to chat with you. Because really cool, great energy, great speaker, passionate.
She sat at, day 3 we did roundtables, and we'll talk about roundtables, but the roundtable I was the white glove with Brittany.
Oh, cool.
And she sat in there listening to our listing process and how we put together the series of steps that lead to increasing the value, micro commitments and increasing the value so that the seller sees your high ticket. They don't question your fees. They don't question these things. They actually think it's a great deal. And she sat there and was like, oh, this is like our loan process where we're competing against other lenders that are trying to win business by going down on price. And we have to be able to position ourselves with value.
Smart.
So smart. She added tips in there. So like another J. Abraham thing, you can't have tunnel vision. You got to have funnel vision. You got to
two references in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. So, tunnel vision is, model success within your industry. That's tunnel. Funnel is like, well, what's working outside your industry?
Yes. Next speaker, yours truly. I held down my spot 4th in a row last on day 1. I went long. That's a fun presentation. I don't even know what it's called.
Well, here's what Sunni did. For some reason, I don't know what the reason was, but you got extra time.
Extra time.
A lot of extra time. So Sunit's listening to his speech. Maybe he could tell the story, but on his way to Tahoe from Sacramento, tell everybody like you were doing what?
So I had done this presentation once before, and for me, I think I have a real short attention span. Me sitting there and redoing the speech to myself a bunch of times to practice just doesn't happen as much as I want it to. So this time I had the idea, and you and I have talked about this on this podcast years ago, or back, lots of episodes ago, is watching game film, right? And we've had this conversation whenever we would do a webinar or do something else. I want to watch the game film. Well, this time I said, thinking about you, so thank you for the inspiration, Nick, was I'm going to watch game film. I'm going to just hit it hard. So I listened to it, watched it 4 or 5 times, driving to Tahoe, because I only live 2 hours away, listened to it twice. And then just went longer.
What was the impact that had on your comfort level, confidence, deliverability? Like, did it flow on stage that you had?
Flowed on stage so much better. I kept on putting down the clicker. I was so casual. My hands were in my pocket. I was thinking to myself, am I sitting on stage with my hands in my pocket? And I was, because I was that comfortable talking about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that most people can't deliver a 30-minute speech, and you were able to deliver hour and a half.
I think close to an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So people love
without a clock too. So I didn't know, right? Because the clock's at 30, and then it stopped when it hit 30. And I was like, well, John's walking around. Do I stop now? It was fun. Okay.
Well, shout out to you, because, Sunit is a professional, right? Perfectionist. Well, he wants to get better. And to listen to your own speech 4 times on the way to Tahoe, that's what it takes.
It's what it
And
takes.
it's just like with your agents. It's like you got to get their recorded phone calls and you got to play them out loud. It's uncomfortable. They're going to cringe. It's you know what I mean? It's not fun.
Yeah.
But, Tom Brady would watch himself there and there. And
I was thinking about Tom Brady too.
A funny story though, Sunny is always open for feedback. No, is he going to take it? Yeah. He's going to listen, but will he do what you say? No, but he wants it. He wants it. And so there's some principles here. So he texts me, hey, Nick, any advice for my speech? I said, I'm going to use something similar as last time. I said, less is more. Sunny goes, oh, good. I added 20 slides. He had like 47 slides.
Yeah.
He didn't
take 40. I had like 50 slides.
And I was wrong because you needed them. So here's what Sunny, I don't know if you guys will have the opportunity to get this. Maybe we'll do a webinar or something. But Sunny basically gave away everything he does. Every secret. Everything.
And that's manuals and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, you gave away everything. Every secret.
Yeah, we can do that. I can do that presentation on here one time. Or do it like in a webinar. But like the important thing, like I think I hear kids waking up. But is like I had notes to myself, wanted to execute, and in order to go longer, I have a bank of stories I can pull for any point. Right? Every point has a story behind it. So in order to go longer, I referenced more stories, and coaching clients and other people who had seen me speak recognize some of the stories are all, how, like Peter Wolkoff, shout out to Peter. He's all, dude, he's all, I noticed like you added these same stories for impact of things that were important. I was like, good job, Pete. Yep. And they're in the bank. He's all, yep, I know you have them ready. And I have them ready at a drop of a hat. Next speaker, Emily Mooney from Lori Finkelstein's team, Lori Reeder's team. Next, Michael LaFido from LPT and luxury stuff. Next, our very own Mia Yamashita, who brought the house down, dude.
Yeah, she wasn't even a dark horse. She blew people away.
Yes.
Blew away.
And you guys can watch my interview with her. And then we released her webinar, which was similar to the content that she performed on stage a few weeks ago on the podcast. And we're recording another episode next week. So check out Mia Yamashita. We're so grateful to have her as our, what's her new title? Director of Agent Growth at Reside.
Yeah, agent growth, which is, I think part of it, she blew people away because of her presence, her ability to perform, speak, engage. And she was talking about a very important topic right now, getting your agent productive.
Yes.
Agent productivity. And that's what she does at Reside. She gets agents into productivity. And when you hear her speak, you're like, oh my gosh, imagine if my agents had that energy.
Well, we both send our teams to her training because we see the value in it.
Mm-hmm. So shout out to her. She really knocked people's socks off. And she's going to be, we're diving deep into agent training and getting closer and closer to the dollar productive activities at Reside, which I think is only going to move the needle up for our team leaders.
Yes. Good. Next, Daniel Beer and Mary Davis. After that, Alec and Shannon Cheplack talking fitness. Alec has been on the podcast. It was a great episode. Always good hanging out with Alec, and seeing him around John is always great stuff, right?
Yeah, he's John's son, and he's a good follow on Facebook because he's really writing a lot, lots of copy.
He's writing every day.
Mm-hmm.
He learned from his dad.
And he's getting good.
He's getting good.
Really good. So you can learn a lot from him just in marketing, but fitness and health drives production. Done.
Yep. Done. Next, Reside co-founder Preston Guyton talking emails and leads, and Travis Halverson both get on stage and do their thing. And so that was the lineup. So lots of great speakers. I'm going to just talk about one main thing that John mentions at every event, right? And he's probably said it before in this podcast. If you follow John, you've heard it. But like John's all, look, like just get the simple activity done, right? You want one takeaway from this event? Every listener and viewer that didn't get to go, if you did go, maybe you didn't catch this, although I bet you did because John's been focused on it, is just the activity, right? 8 to 9, recruit. Pick up the phone and recruit. 9 to 10, call into the database with your agents. And 10 to 11, do your follow-up. Excuse me, 10 to 11, inspect the database, which for me is also kind of follow-up because you're following up, right? And then after that, you have your appointments and you do whatever else you need to do, right? I mean, what do you think would happen if everybody who attended that show, Nick, attended that event, Nick, would actually do that?
Well, I can tell you, we already know what will happen. So John Rhoda is in Reside. John Rhoda, he's in Edmonton,
Canada.
And he, during the roundtable session, I think you were out there talking to Brandon, maybe. John stood up and John was an example. And so John's a big guy. John Rhoda, plays rugby. He's
both Johns are big guys. But yeah.
John, so they're standing up and like, what's John Rhoda doing up here? And John's like, tell him what you told me at the round table. So I'm going to tell you what they told him. So John, his team sold about 300 homes last year, give or take. Year to date, right now, he's over 400. He's huge. Up 100 transactions in one, and it's September. He's up 100 transactions. His marketplace doesn't have lower interest rates, a tailwind. He's massively outperforming the marketplace. What did you do? Tell him, what did you do? I did what you told me to do. That's what he said. Okay, well, what is that? Okay, from 8 to 9, like Sunny said, called agents. From 9 to 10, called with the agents, and 10 to 11, inspect the database and, email marketing, whatever, right? Appointments. 3 hours a day resulted in, and he'll probably be plus 100, 200, almost 200 transactions in a year. Yeah. And he legitimately does it because I know this because we coach with him, Sunni, and we see him. He'll post on Facebook, him and his team with the laptops open, making phone calls.
Yeah, dude. John friggin' executed.
He executed consistently on the action that was required.
What was another takeaway or conversation that you got from that event?
Well, I always know people are, the question is, what are you going to do? What is the one thing you're going to do when you get back in the last quarter?
Yes.
And I asked that question to almost everybody. Specific, and it was intentional. Like, what's the one thing, right? Because like you say, Sunny, like you come back with a notebook full of notes, and it's like, okay, look at those notes and narrow it down. Right?
Prioritize for impact.
Yeah. And people are really excited about, obviously adding to the team.
Yeah.
But also being really, really engaged with the team and doing things with them, getting closer to that dollar productive activity. And part of that's leadership too. So that was the biggest takeaway I had talking to people.
Yeah. The roundtable format has been getting great feedback on day 3. And what John did, he had 11 different tables.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, 11 different circles, round tables, 11 different round tables, circular tables, with a different topic and a different expert / leader at each. Nick and Brittany talked about white glove. Preston talked about lead conversion. A bunch of different people in there. And I think that has added to what's already been a really special event because it gives people the time to dial down deeper in their questions and also do a mini mastermind around what they want to take away. Right. So I heard a lot of great feedback around that. So if you have never been to one of John's events, There's a Maverick event coming up soon. Make sure you check that out on our social. And I think events in general are great. And I'm going to add something. A lot of events for myself have been big parties. Not at this event.
Ooh.
And that made it so much more about development and getting to work than any other event I've ever been to. Even other John's events. There's always a few people out doing some craziness. You always hear some stories. Nothing at this one. Right? Nobody was at the casino late night partying it up. And people loved that. Right? Everybody was hitting the gym. A bunch of people went on the hike. So the self-development and the work, it was inspirational for me. Obviously, if I'm talking about it right
now. That's right. So I think I've just taken it for granted hanging out with you, John, and Preston, that's how we live life, is the pursuit of growth. And part of that's the fitness and the health. And people showed up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed on day 3.
Dude.
There was no drop-off in energy. There was no one hungover. There was no crazy stories to talk about. It was like the clarity of mind and the collectiveness and the energy was great. Yeah, because they hiked Mount Talek.
Yep.
It took some people 10 hours to do this hike.
Oh, it ain't easy. It's not.
Yeah. I went on 2 mountain bike rides while I was there because shout out to Christy Morrison and Clint Stinser. They brought bikes. They're like, hey, you want to go for a ride? So we went for these epic rides. We took Reside. We had 45 people go to we got Fumo restaurant there. And we reserved the entire restaurant for Reside. And John was there and he gave an epic. Was that not the highlight at the restaurant where John gave an epic stories? He just poured into everybody. It was like a 40-minute one-on-one coaching call, but in real life.
Inspirational too.
Inspirational. So that was a huge highlight of the moment for me, and I think everyone in that restaurant. But we were in that restaurant, and what was interesting is, we picked up the tab, right? And we didn't make it an announcement like, hey, the bar's off limits. If you want to get your own, you get your own, blah, blah, blah. No. And everyone's drinking water. They're drinking, shrub. They're drinking, teas. It wasn't like cocktail hour.
It wasn't a party. I mean, yeah. And there were some people, a lot of the locals who lived around there who decided to have a couple, and great. Right? Go for it. However, it was not the vibe.
It wasn't
which
the vibe.
Is rare.
And it wasn't even a topic. It was just the way we were living life.
Yep.
And had amazing conversations with people. Really got to connect on it. It was
great.
Yeah, so good. That was dinner was so amazing. Just the energy and community that was
community, dude. Yes,
community. The community. People are going to go back and reach out to people on their personal cell phones.
Oh yes.
And they're going to have these challenges. They're going to have these struggles. They're going to have these wins, and it's going to be shared. So amazing.
Yes. Good. Well, here's my closing to everybody. Or here's I'm going to wrap it up to make it less formal. I've been writing coffee for like 2 days straight and doing content. So let's wrap it up. Here's what I want to tell everybody is get in the right rooms because they are transformative. And Nick and I are fortunate enough to have been mainstays in this transformative room in our careers and been able to pour into others. So whether it's Cheplack and Reside events or it's something else, get into the event and approach it as work and not a party. Because you're going to get more out of it. You're already investing money to go. It ain't cheap to go to events. And the more expensive thing is time. Away from your family, usually, right? Away from your business. Like the opportunity cost is massive. So if you're going to go, don't treat it like a party. Treat it like work and get something out of it. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Well, you guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Reside Platform podcast. I mentioned several speakers from this event who have been on the episodes that we've done in the past. So make sure you go back and check out Mia Yamashita. Make sure you go check out Brandon Brittingham. Make sure you go check out Brittany Pino and Alec Cheplak and all the other people that we've had. All the episodes, you can find them in the library. If you got something out of this, which I hope you did, please share with a friend, leave a note. We don't run any ads. And if you are curious about the Reside platform, we welcome 2 great new Reside teams at the event. We'll have them on the show pretty soon. If you're curious about the Reside platform and what we can do to grow your team or brokerage to get to the next level and create more freedom in your business, check out resideplatform.com. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Reside Platform Podcast.